Okay, so what does the uh, Joint Rules Committee do? The Joint Rules Committee is established by Joint Rule 40. And Joint Rule 40, again, creates the Joint Rules Committee. That is to have a continuing existence. And so even when the legislature has adjourned for an interim recess or a final recess, the Joint Rules Committee continues. Specifically, Joint Rule 40 Subdivision A says that the Joint Rules Committee may meet, act, and conduct its business during sessions of the legislature or any recess thereof. Joint Rule 40 Subdivision B sets forth the committee makeup, and the Joint Rules Committee consists of all the members of the Assembly Committee on Rules, as well as the Assembly Majority Leader, the Assembly Republican Leader, the Speaker of the Assembly. In addition, it includes 4 members of the Senate Committee on Rules and as many members of the Senate as may be required to maintain equality with the number of Assembly members. And all of those senators are to be appointed by the President pro tem of the Senate. And of course, vacancies that occur in the membership of the Joint Rules Committee are simply filled by, on the Senate side, the pro tem, and on the Assembly side, the Speaker. Subdivision C of Joint Rule 40 provides that the committee and its members have and may exercise all of the rights, duties, and powers conferred upon investigating committees of the legislature, as well as any provisions that are set forth here. And so we turn to subdivision D of Joint Rule 40, where we're told that the Joint Rules Committee is required to ascertain facts and make recommendations to the legislature concerning, 1, the relationship between the 2 houses and the procedures that are used to expedite the affairs of the legislature by improving that relationship. Second, that the legislative branch of the state government and any defects or deficiencies in the law governing that branch. 3, the methods whereby legislation is proposed, considered, and acted upon. 4, the operation of the legislature and their committees and the means of coordinating the work and avoiding any duplication of effort. 5th, the aids to the legislature. And finally, 6, information and statistics for the use of the legislature, their respective houses, and the members of the 2 houses. In addition, in subdivision E, any matter of business of either house may be referred to the Committee on Joint Rules for action if the legislature is not in recess, and must be referred to the Joint Rules Committee for any actions when the legislature is in recess. Subdivision F of Joint Rule 40 specifies that the Joint Rules Committee has the following additional powers and duties: to select a chair and vice chair from its members, to allocate space in the state capitol building, annexes, and any additions, to approve the appearance of the legislative council in litigation, to contract with other agencies, public or private, for rendering and affording services, facilities, studies, and reports, to cooperate with and secure the operation of county, city, and other local law enforcement agency in investigating any matters within the scope of the Joint Rules Committee authority, to report the committee's findings and recommendations on any revisions to the law or constitution related to the legislature, the committee, and if they authorize any subcommittees, to meet and act outside as well as inside the state of California to do their duties, to expend funds in order to carry out their functions and activities, to appoint a chief administrative officer of the Joint Rules Committee, to employ persons that are necessary to assist all the other joint committees except JLBC, the Legislative Budget Committee, and JLAC, the Legislative Audit Committee. Also, they have the power to appoint the chairs of joint committees and to do any other things that are necessary for them to fully and adequately exercise their powers and perform their duties. Pursuant to subdivision G of Joint Rule 40, the members of the Joint Rules Committee from the Senate may meet separately, and the members of the Joint Rules Committee from the Assembly may meet separately. And finally, in subdivision H of Joint Rule 40, it says that the Joint Rules Committee is allowed to meet at any time if the full committee is unable to meet, then they may meet separately and then come together.